Welcome in Sideline Sports Show, episode number 39. Ben and Tim here with you on this lovely Thursday afternoon. Tim, how are you
Friday
doing, my friend?
Eve.
That's right.
Ben, I'm for me the weekend starts early because my day starts early. I'll be looking forward to about being on the weekend about 6 hours. This time tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to only having to get up at 4 a.m. once more this week. It's gonna be exciting, But other than that, you know what? I'm vibing here on this Friday.
There you go. I'm doing good on this Friday as well. Tim, I didn't realize this. It kind
What's
of
that?
passed over us, and I totally didn't even realize it. But did you know that we've been doing the Sideline Sports Show for a whole entire year now, Tim?
Wow, I feel like that deserves
I know.
applause.
I know.
We've
It
been.
deserves an applause. So, happy birthday to the Sideline Sports Show. I
You
mean,
haven't gotten tired of
it.
me. You haven't got vice versa. It's just we've been a pleasure. I love the graphic, by the way. I don't know why, but that cake ice cream. I don't know, but
Yeah.
but yeah, just it's been a pleasure this year on the Sideline Sports Show. Of course, we had some other stuff that we ended up having to rebrand once, but it was like what, twice, I believe, right?
Yeah, we've done it
Or
twice.
something like that. Yeah, but I'm glad that this is stuck, and I look forward to going a whole nother year with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of people to thank, obviously. I mean, Peach State Studios of Media for providing the space that I have to do the show for you. Your home is very gracious to let you do it from home.
Yeah.
But all the guests that we've had.
Still lets me do the show here. Eventually, got a dog, as I told you recently. She doesn't really like it, but before we started the door, wanted me like, "What are you doing?" Or I honestly talked about it because I use these headphones right now for the show if I ever need them. I talked about letting her come in and sitting right here, just kind of putting it on her and just
there you go.
Letting her be our third wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's so many other people to thank. The guests that have come on the show: Bryce Coon, Mary Margaret Ellison, Roddy Jones, Rob Brown has joined the show. So I mean, there's so many people to thank. The list could go on and on and on. But
who do you think's been our best guest?
Who's been our best guest? I feel like it. I don't think you were on. Mary Margaret Ellison did a really good job. Now she's in Louisiana doing newscasting for sports as a sports director. I think she was. So
you're
really
saying
good.
you're saying I'm the problem? Like
no.
For the show as a
no. I think Bryce Coon did a very good job when we got him on last year. I think that was a really good guest. Rob Brown. I mean, everybody's been great. I don't think there's one person.
I enjoyed Sarah Bates. I remember
Sarah Bates was on the show. I remember that
good.
Too.
So I mean, she's doing big things over there in West Virginia now. So got some big names that come through.
Her home.
Right there.
So we're very grateful.
There's many more places I could take them.
Yeah, but we're not going to. All right. So moving on. All right, Tim. As we continue our college football breakdown, we're going to go through the Big 12, Tim. So here we go. This conference, before we even start, this conference, I texted Tim earlier today, and I said, really, 6 teams could win this conference because how awful this conference really is this year. There's not a team that stands out more than it usually does, and I think it's because every team within this conference has had so many changes. So we're going to see how this goes. It's going to be very, very interesting. But I've shuffled some things around, Tim, and it's going to be surprising for me, and I think it's going to be surprising for you too. So there's 10 teams in this conference. So let's start with number 10, Tim. 10, Tim. We'll let you go first, and then I'll come back to Ben 10. My Ben 10. So we'll go from there.
Right, I got you. Yeah. I mean, I think number 10 here. I mean, this was basketball. They beat number 1. But now, if they had to play Texas every game, they might be in business. But you know what? I'm going to put them at the bottom. At number 10, I got Kansas.
Okay. Is there any reason why, or is it just because they haven't proved
I think
anything?
it's pretty self-explanatory. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that they have a BCS win like they back in the day. Like that seems like ago, but yeah, yeah, not even the Mad Hatter Les Miles could near irrelevancy. So
Yeah. I'm gonna shock you, Tim. I'm gonna shock you right out of the gate. My number
you're
10.
not what?
What?
Really?
My 10
Bottom?
is Texas Tech.
Oh,
Yes.
oh my good. You wait. What?
Okay, here's the thing. They got a new head coach. They have new offensive and defensive coordinator. They don't have a lot coming back from last year. I mean, let me look. They only have two returning starters on the offensive line. The defense was like absolutely awful and atrocious. They allowed 30 or more points in each game of the past 12 seasons. Um, I'm just looking. I don't see. I just don't know. There's so many questions, and I'll when I get to Kansas, I'll explain why. But I have Texas Tech at the bottom of this conference just this year,
You
and that
talked
may
about
change.
their
So
defense. You talked about their defense and 92 points last year. Not great, obviously, but 500. You want to talk about defense? Let's talk about that defense. I mean, Tech scored more points than they allowed. Kansas was like trying to do quick math. I think they only scored 249 points last year, allowed 506 defense. I mean, ugh.
but I'll get to my
talk
point when
about
I
plus
get
two
to
to
them.
like.
So,
All right, fair.
all right, you're number 9.
Number 9, I'm going to go with new head coach. Gary Patterson's not there anymore.
Come on.
What?
This is going to be a very interesting show, Tim. I can tell you that right now. Go ahead.
I
Just go
don't.
ahead. Go ahead.
I don't like the direction TC's going. I mean, they weren't doing
You don't like
great under Gary
Sony
Patterson.
Dykes as the head coach?
I mean, yeah, but it's going to take him a year to get his system in place. I like
Okay.
him year one. Year one, I like Sonny Dykes. And he came over SMU, factually correct.
Yes.
I believe he did, and they're very offensive, high offensive power. But I mean, like Baylor, Oklahoma now with their hiring of Brent Venables. I mean, defense is actually good. Oklahoma State had a solid defense last year. They won the conference. Iowa State had a. It's not the Big 12 from a half a decade ago where you have to score 50 points just to win. They're starting to take over in the Big 12. So I just an offensive minded coach. Well, I guarantee you, it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for him as he jumps from 12. I'm just saying.
Okay. All right. Number 9 for me, I have Kansas. I didn't put them any higher than that. Here's where it really it sparks my interest a little bit is that they have 16 returning starters on both sides or overall. And I think that's a very young group last year, not a lot of experience. They're experienced now. They went through the trouble times. They even upset Texas last year, which is what no one thought they possibly could do. And they did it in Austin, Texas. That's a big key point right there. All right. But I mean, you look, I think, let's see, in the last month, they lost to TCU and West Virginia by 1 score. So I'm just saying, like, there's a lot to look forward to for this Kansas Jayhawks team. It's a very young team. And I know that, like, the ceiling is not very high, but you cannot go any lower than what you did last year. So what do? You look up. And if you can get at least two conference wins.
Their ceiling's like 2 feet off the ground. Like what?
I'm just saying, like, Kansas, I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the Big 12 this year. There's a lot of teams that have rebuilding years this year because of new head coaches, new offensive coordinators, new defensive coordinators, new quarterbacks, new corners, new defenses. I mean, there's a lot of new within this conference. Like I said, I think anywhere from like 6 up could win this conference, maybe even 7 up. But I'm going to stick with my firm foundation and say that Kansas is going to finish 9th in this conference. and I feel comfortable saying that.
I want to do this. I'm gonna go through Kansas's schedule, and you tell me win or loss.
Okay. Okay. Okay, go. I can't hear you. I don't know why.
Me now?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it goes in and out every now.
Tennessee. Tennessee. Do we really think they win
Hold
that
on.
game?
I'm gonna have. Yeah, I can't really hear you, so I'm gonna have to look it up. Hold on. You're going in and out with your audio, so I'm gonna look it up real quick just to see.
Can you hear me, Ben? Anything?
It's delayed by a couple seconds, so I'm gonna look this up. Let's see. Kansas Jayhawks. Let's see. It's typing in men's basketball. Men's
Not looking
football.
for football.
All right, Tennessee Tech. All right, that's a win. All right, West Virginia. That's a loss. I really think West Virginia will be better. Houston. That's a loss. I think they'll beat Duke. I mean, let's be realistic. They're at home. Duke's rebuilding this year. I just don't see it. Iowa State. That's a toss-up game. That's a 50-50. TCU, a 50-50. Oklahoma's a loss. Baylor's a loss. Oklahoma State's a loss. The rest of this schedule towards the bottom, Tim, I'm very questionable about. It's 50-50. I think they can beat Texas Tech on the road. I think they could probably beat Texas at home. I really do. And Kansas State's a 50-50 toss-up. I'm just saying, I don't really see it. I think West Virginia on the road's going to be tough. Houston on the road's going to be tough. Duke at home, I'm just saying, that's a win. Majority of their conference games that they have at home are very winnable games, Tim. I mean, you look at the conference games that they have at home, Iowa State, that's a winnable game. That's a 50-50. You got TCU at home. I can't hear you at all. Now, I can't hear you at all. But TCU, I think that's a win. You look down the rest of this list, Texas could be a win at home. There you go. I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, I just unplugged the headphones.
No, you're good.
But I a winnable game. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I know. They don't have Brock Purdy.
I know they lost Purdy.
They don't have their star running back.
Really? I'll give you Duke. I'm telling you that right there. I mean, they can barely beat like a team like Maine and South Carolina, who's a solid mid-major. Don't get
they got a
wrong.
more experienced group. That's my thing.
With you about Kansas football.
I'm not saying they're going to go out and win the Big 12.
I'll give you Tech. And I maybe understand Texas Tech, and I guess since Texas
they got to win 3 conference games.
No to Houston, no to Iowa State, with TCU, honestly, and I think that's going to be one of TCU's few wins on the year. Ain't no room to win. You're no way you're going into Waco and Baylor. You're going to win. You're not beating Oklahoma State. Texas, that's a 50-50. Texas, after last year, you went into Austin and won. But
you have that game at home.
Yeah, they do get that game at home. But I mean, I don't know what Texas was not slept. Again, Texas is getting better. They got a recent commit from Arch Manning. He's going to be in the fold. They're definitely getting better. The recruiting class was top notch, and their game against Kansas State, they're not winning that game. That's just not happening. That's not going to happen. So I'll do in my opinion, a ceiling of about 3 wins.
Yeah, 3 conference wins. That's all they need to not finish at the bottom.
No. 3 overall wins, with Tennessee Tech and Duke being 2 of those 3. 50-50 with Texas Tech or TCU, maybe.
I would love to look at I would love to look back at this and be like, hey, look, they actually had more than 3 wins, because that would be like my moment of the year, like your Hawkeyes were winning the conference title last year for, I know, this close. So, all right, let me do.
I got Georgia, so it was all good.
Yeah. All right, let me do my number 8. Yeah, we're at number 8. So I'm going to go TCU. Well, and it's like you mentioned, I love Sonny Dykes as the head coach for TCU. I think that's a perfect fit for what TCU wants to identify themselves as, a very high-powered offense, because that's what the Big 12 is. It's a very high-powered offense kind of conference, right? And it's kind of shifting, it's kind of molding, and we'll talk about that once we get towards the top. But I really believe like TCU can have a really good ceiling. It's just not this year. I think Sonny Dykes will be a perfect fit for head coach for this team. I think defensively they got to improve because they ranked 9th in the Big 12 against the run because they allowed 222 yards a game. So I think that's going to be a huge key to fix on defense. But other than that, I mean, TCU, I think the quarterback battle, they don't really have a quarterback one yet. So I think that's going to be a question mark game one this year. So other than that, I mean, I don't think TCU is going to be awful. I just don't think they're going to be better than all these other teams I have above them. So I'm going to put TCU at 8. Tim, who's your 8?
Texas Tech. So we do all this arguing, and it was crazy, but we basically have the same 3 bottom teams. It's just in a little bit different order. I still can't believe you. I'm just messing with, but yeah, I got Texas Tech at number 8. So
okay, all right. Number 7. I'll let you go kick us off with number 7.
He said, "Man, after those bottom 3, it becomes a little iffy. It's crazy to think that Texas spot a year ago. I don't think that'll happen. I'm looking kind of Kansas State in that West Virginia, but I don't. I think West Virginia's going to be too good just because they have a quarterback. So I'm going to have to kind of lean with Kansas State here. I think they're this 7th spot because I just think that they're not going to be bad per se. I think they're going to have a different showing for sure. Kansas State will, but because they play a unique style, I just don't 6 teams above them.
Yeah. All right, from 7 all the way up to the 2 seed. You can shuffle any of these around just because of how crazy this conference is going to be this year and how all the schedules align. But I'm going to go Iowa State. I mean, they only bring back 8 starters, and they lost all of their key players on offense and some on defense. Brock Purdy, Brees Hall, tight end Charlie Kohler, the linebacker Mike Rose. All very, very good players for the Cyclones offense and defense. I think that's going to be a hard thing to replace. They have a lot of good young talent coming up, especially their sophomore quarterback, Hunter Deckers. I think that's how you say his last name. I can't correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he'll be really good for this offense for the Cyclones. But I think it will take another year or 2 to rebuild what they had. And I don't think they'll be as good as they were last year because of how much rebuilding they'll have to do. So really, it's kind of looking at the rest of these teams, I have a better argument for. So I'm going to have to put them at 7. All right.
Yeah, and I've got them actually at 6. So just okay. Yeah, you can also flip flop those 2 teams as well. I think they're going to be one's going to finish 6. One just put them in that area, general vicinity. Like you said, they miss a lot on offense, especially when quarterback and running back, your rusher from a year ago leave. Yeah, and then you have the part as well. You're not going to be the same, and that's exactly what Iowa State is. And I think that for that reason.
All right, my number 7 number 6. Sorry, West Virginia. I really love this team. They've had a 17-18 record over the past 3 seasons. They've made back-to-back bowl games, so that's been really good. And now they actually have a good quarterback in JT Daniels, and that's not solidified because the West Virginia head coach came out and said, hey, this guy's still going to have to earn his position, which I feel like every head coach would say that. But this is probably the most talented quarterback we've seen in West Virginia in a little bit. I mean, it's been probably about 5-6 years since we've seen a really good quarterback in West Virginia in that offense with Will Grier from Florida. I think Will Grier did an amazing job when he went up to West Virginia after leaving Florida. But since Will Grier, I really haven't seen another good quarterback at West Virginia. So I'm really hoping JT Daniels has a really good year. And it's even better that his offensive coordinator from USC is now the offensive coordinator at West Virginia. So I think this offense is going to take a little bit of a step forward because JT Daniels, he won't really have to learn a lot. I mean, if he inherits the offense that they ran at USC now over at West Virginia, I think this will be a really good fit for JT Daniels, and I think he'll easily get the QB1. And this defense will have to take some steps here and there to improve, but I really love this West Virginia team. Like I said, they can finish anywhere in between. I have them at 6, but I think their ceiling is like 3 in this conference, and even could be a 2, but it would be a long stretch to get there. So I'm going to have them at my 6.
This next one,
all right. So who's your 5?
For me, we get into the top half of states. You got your Baylors, you got your Oklahomas. Excuse me. You got your West Virginia. I can't put Texas higher than 5. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
They're definitely recruiting, but I think until Arch Manning gets there, they're still kind of working to get the pieces there. I'm sure that's really solid. Again, teams that you just see that play Alabama often get demolished, and then their season just kind of falls apart after that. I don't know. They do have the benefit of this game being in Austin, so I determine how far you go. Get out of that game is with some sort of Alabama. Yeah, we didn't beat them because you're not going to beat them. This team didn't even go to a bowl game last year, but it as long as possible. If you can pull off the upset, great. If not, make sure you have so much more to play for the rest of the year. But rest of it, I love them, man. I just like their quarterback playing, and then if they don't have the quarterback per se, that's go behind them, and I just think that they're better overall than Texas. I just flat out got to say that.
All right, so you got Texas at 5, correct? Just making sure we got that. Okay.
Yes.
At my number 5, I got Texas as well. And here's the thing. I mean, you can say Quinn Ewers is going to change this whole entire offense. I mean, you can say that all you want, but he hasn't even taken a single snap of college football yet. Yes, he was at Ohio State last year, but he was like the 3rd or 4th string. He left high school early to go and play at Ohio State, never even saw a snap. And I just don't know what their identity on offense is. They struggled defensively. They surrendered 6 basically yards per play, 31 points a game on defense. I mean, that's got to improve somehow in this Big 12. And I know defense is a big problem in this Big 12. You'll see that consistently. But only 4 starters overall return. And I think that's a big question mark for Texas because what's going to be your identity? They do have Xavier Worthy, who is a very, very talented wide receiver. And then Bryjon Robinson is the running back for them. So they're going to have a great offense. I just don't know if their defense will withhold these other teams I have in front of them. So I'm going to have to put them at my number 5. Number 4, you actually had this team lower than I did, but I actually have a little bit of faith in this team, and that's Kansas State. You look at Kansas State's schedule, it kind of favors them a little bit. Because when you look, you'll look at their schedule. I do think the addition of the Nebraska quarterback transfer, Adrian Martinez, is going to be good. I think he's going to have to cut down the turnovers because, I mean, he had like 30 turnovers in all 3 of his years at Nebraska, which was absolutely horrendous. I mean, you just can't – 4 years, excuse me, at Nebraska. But new offensive coordinator for the Wildcats should be able to help improve that. So, and only 2 starters join on the offensive line, 3. And so I think it's going to be very, very interesting on offense. The defense only allowed 21 points a game, Tim. And I think that's what really told me. I was like, hey, like this could be one of the best defenses in the Big 12. And even if their offense isn't really going that well, their defense is going to be that stronghold that holds them up. And so I think that will carry them a little bit further. So I'm going to put Kansas State at number 5 and watch. Their biggest win will be against Texas. That will be the cement of their season and why they'll be ahead of Texas in these rankings. So who do you have it for?
Yeah, they usually do seem to pull off every year. At number 4, I've got Baylor. I think they proved themselves 12-2. Beat a basically Matt Corral game. Building off that, again, good offense and a really solid D making to kind of get back and try to win the Big 12 title again. I know they fell to Oklahoma State, so hopefully trying to get back there. I think they have an opportunity. 3 teams ahead of them. I just like their overall teams, whether it's the quarterback, whether it's the defense addition. I just think the 3 teams ahead of them just have better options as well. So
okay, all right.
I guess I just strive to take you off, Ben.
All right, this is gonna be like the most like going back and looking at all of this. This is gonna be like the most debatable conference we'll probably have all year. But like we said, I mean, any team can finish anywhere, so I can't really judge. Number 3, and this may take you for a loop here, but I'm gonna go Oklahoma. I love
3 or
Brent
4?
Venables as a 3. My 4 was Kansas State.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got Oklahoma at my 3. The only reason why is this. You look, they lost so much offensively. They all transferred to guess where? USC.
Yeah,
so you're gonna have to rebuild that offense a little bit. Defense, I have no problem with. I really think this is probably going to be the best defense in the Big 12 because Brent Venables literally like preaches out of a book that says defensive playbook. And I mean, that whole defense will be fine. I'm not even worried about it. It's really just the offense. I think Dylan Gabriel is a huge asset to their offense, and I think he'll be really good, especially what he did at UCF, excuse me. And I think that offense will take a step forward a little bit with him at the quarterback position. But I just don't know about the weapons around him that will help him boost this offense to be better than these 2 teams I have before them. So give me Oklahoma at my 3. So Tim, who's your 3?
Number 3, I got West Virginia. I put them at this reason only. JT Daniels.
That's a big jump.
They finished middle of the pack last year. And I understand that, but again, a lot of things you realize, man, this year they had their quarterback play and then their wide receiver play on par. Without a doubt last year, but they had very subpar QB play and injuries all over the place. And a team like that, the quarterback can make all the difference. Same thing with West Virginia, man. I think D. Daniels. I know it's no foregone conclusion, but I think he's going to earn it, and I think he's going to put up lights up. He's going to light up. I think he's going to put up a ton of numbers, a ton of touchdowns. I think he's going to keep the picks down. I think they're going to surprise some people, and I think they're going to finish. They're going to be in contention to try to go for a Big 12 title. Now, will they get there? I don't think so. I think they'll finish just outside of that top. I think they're going to see a very significant jump with JT Daniels, the Georgia transfer now.
Yeah. All right. My number 2, like I said, I think you can kind of put this team anywhere from 2 to about 5. I really do. I got Oklahoma State, and I think that their new defensive coordinator, this name rings a bell, Tim. Think about this for a second. Their new defensive coordinator, Derek Mason. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
Okay. Former Vandy head coach and former defensive coordinator for Auburn last year. Comes over to Oklahoma State. Going to try to revamp this defense to like an SEC caliber defense in my mind. We'll see how that goes. I'm not sure if that's going to be possible or not. I think that will, and that's probably the biggest transition that Oklahoma State will have because they bring back their quarterback. I don't know why in the world I can't think of anything right now, but they bring back their quarterback from last year. They lost their running back from last year. I forgot his name off the top of my head. So they'll have to replace him. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how it goes forward with the offense. I think this is a good team, and defensively, I think they'll be a really good team. And look, here's the thing. Mike Gundy is still the man, even though he's 54. Pulling off the mullet, still, it's a dangerous environment to go into. So I'm going to have Oklahoma at my 2.
Man. Yeah, now I see why, because I know the team that's left, or I know why you reacted the way that you did now. But at number 2, I'm gonna have to put Oklahoma State.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Oklahoma.
At least we have the same
State.
number 2.
I'm gonna share that. We have the same number 2. I like Oklahoma State. I think they're going to be back in the Big 12 title game again. They're getting solid defense. Like you mentioned, gonna have to replace their running back as well. But again, it's gonna be very tough for them. It's gonna be a telling game. They're gonna have to travel. I believe they're gonna have to travel to take on Oklahoma. So that'll be an interesting matchup for sure. And I think teams at the end of the year with one loss at 8-1 in conference play.
Okay. All right, Tim, go ahead and share your number 1 because I feel like I'll have to dispute my number 1 with you for a minute. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah. Number 1, I got Oklahoma. I love the hire. He's going to change that system around. He's going to put the defense in place, and he's going to bring. Because you look at these teams. Oklahoma State defense, Baylor defense. The years had a really solid defense. Kansas State always plays a good brand of defense. Texas, he was trying to play catch up and everything. Look at this Big 12 is starting to go from hard place to now solid defense, and that is exactly what Brent Venables is going to blitz you to death. As a Clemson fan, I know that firsthand. He will live and die by it, and he will bring Oklahoma. That he's bringing a winner. He's gonna change the culture. He's gonna be for the better, And I think it's again comes down to, for me, it's just I think everybody else. Baylor could be a tough one. I need to check to see if that Baylor game is going to be on the road or Durham game. I'm pretty sure is going to be at home. It is
home, yeah.
Home, and that and they also get Baylor home. So that's some of the best teams in the conference. Now, a real trouble for me could be a trap game at home against Kansas State, an upset against someone every year. Again, the game against Texas, a classic game. Again, at Iowa State, they lost a lot, but it seems to be an environment there. So if they can kind of survive those games, man, I really do like Oklahoma. And another game to keep an eye on. They have to go to Morganton on November 12th. So it'll be interesting to see. That's actually the third to last game of the year. So we're going to definitely know what at Oklahoma looks like by that time.
Yeah. And my number 1, the reason I made a face at Tim is because I have Baylor at number 1. Here's the reason why I have them at number 1 is because I think this is the team for me that doesn't have as many question marks as a lot of other teams. Now, there are question marks with Baylor. You mentioned it. They have a non-conference game at BYU, which will be a very, very tough game to go to. And then they have tough road trips to not only Oklahoma, but West Virginia and Texas as well. So that's going to be a tough conference away game slate. But you look, Blake Sharpin won the quarterback battle against Gary Bohannon, who actually transferred to a school in the American Athletic Conference, because we did mention his name. I want to say it's Central Florida, but I can't mark that down and say, yeah, that's it. But it was a team in the American Athletic Conference because we did mention him. But this wide receiving core is going to be really good. Offensive line basically ranks among one of the best in the Big 12 and maybe even in the nation, just depending on who you talk to. But really, this defense held opponents to 5 yards per play and 18 points a game. I mean, that's the lowest, and they don't really lose anybody. I mean, the secondary is going to be their main key. They only return 2 starters in the secondary. But other than that, they return majority of their defensive starters. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of questions in the front half of this defense. It's really just in the back half of the defense. And really their schedule, other than Texas, Oklahoma, and BYU and West Virginia, I mean, you get Oklahoma State at home. We've already said that's like a number 2 team within the conference. I think they can win that game at home. West Virginia on the road, we talked about that. I think they'll beat Kansas at home. I think they'll beat Texas Tech on the road. I think that they'll beat Kansas State at home. I think they'll beat TCU at home. So if you put the other three as like 50-50 games, like Baylor, I would say at least would win 2 of those and lose 1. So I would feel confident saying that. And if they lost to, let's say, I would say if they had to lose to a team on the road, it would be Oklahoma, not Texas or West Virginia. So that's why I'm saying those question marks really don't come up for me as much as they do for all these other teams, and that's why I have Baylor at my number 1. So does that make sense, or are you still just like, nah, they're just dumpster fire? So
no, it makes sense. Like definitely, I mean, like I said, I mean, I still have them in my top 4. And then again, anywhere to go, I mean, wouldn't surprise me in the least. But like you said, I think it's going to come down to those 4: Oklahoma State, Baylor, and then ultimately, I think you have to throw West Virginia in there just because I think Texas is still at least a year off. So, and they're going to have to.
Texas is not back.
No, you're going to have to make a bowl game before I can say you're back and you're in the top part of your life. To beat Kansas at least too. Jeez.
Hey, I mean, look, you got to think though. They did beat Georgia in a bowl game like 2 or 3 years ago. Like so, and then Sam Ehlinger was like, "We're back."
4, like again, he's saying you're back, and then you like, all right, dude, like, congratulations, you went to the Alabama Bowl. Then the next year after that, with the year they lose to Kansas like 57-56. Who gives up freaking Kansas? I mean, goodness gracious.
Here's another stat that's interesting, Tim. You ready? And this is maybe why you put Oklahoma above Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy is 3-14 versus Oklahoma. So that's a big stat.
Yeah, he had won a lot. I know had a really down year, but
so I mean, who knows?
You know what's crazy though? If you take out the Texas game, Kansas doesn't even score 200 points last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I mean, they finished with 249 points. They scored 57 against them.
Yeah, and with their offense, I mean, they should be able to. I mean, we got to think, like, their offense was not really that good. They had that freshman quarterback come and play last year. I think they've said that he'll battle Quinn Ewers in the quarterback 1 battle, but we all know good and well, like, they're using a PR stunt to say Quinn Ewers is going to start game 1. So, I mean, and when look, this is it right here. This is exactly what you said. When Texas said we are back, they promptly lost 6 games the next year. I mean, that's true. I mean, they haven't really proven anything else since then. So, yeah, that's that. So that's our Big 12 roundup, I guess, predictions of the Big 12. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break, come back. We're going to talk about all the media days that have happened really between the SEC and the ACC. And Dabo said what? And so we'll talk about that as well. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back in Sideline Sports Show, and this segment is presented by our great friends at Section 103. Make sure to go check them out, section103.com. You can use your 10% off code Sideline at checkout for your first order, so make sure to go check them out before they play Clemson, which is now a sold-out game in Atlanta, so make sure to go check them out, section103.com. All right, Tim, let's go ahead and talk about Clemson for a second. Because as I was watching Media Day, Tim, I found a tweet early this morning before the coastal side of the ACC kicked off, and it kind of caught my attention because, everybody's been saying stuff about DJU and how he may not be prepared to be the starting quarterback this year. But I think Dabo Swinney had an interesting way of putting this. So we're going to let you watch it and then give your thoughts. Here we go.
my quarterback, and you mentioned him. I mean, this dude's a freak. Yeah. And people talk about him like he's some slapdick from East Boga, right. Community college. And this guy can play the game at the highest level. He's going to play the game at the highest level. And he wasn't great last year. He was awesome as a freshman. Yeah. He was awesome his whole career in high school. He's a winner. He's got all the tools, all the intangibles. But he is better because of what he went through. He's had a lot of challenges. And then all of a sudden, we got 3 different centers. We got 6 OL. One's a true freshman running back. We have to end up starting all of our receivers are out. Mm-hmm. Well, now he tries to do too much. He loses his confidence. First time in his life, he's had to deal with some criticism. This guy ain't ever been criticized. Yeah. He's been the GOAT his life. And now all of a sudden he's got milk bone underwear on, and they're chomping at him everywhere.
A what? They think he's a what?
I don't know, man.
Where's this terminology come from?
I think it's something from his Alabama roots. I mean,
oh my God.
What was that name of that community college or something? What was that?
East Wappa or something? I don't know. What? Hey, thanks to Kelly Gramlich.
That's what he said. Is. He said that the slide dig. I'm like, what, Dabo? What are you? I don't know. I can't imagine. I need to talk to some of the guys I work at with the producer and say, hey, did you guys play that audio? Did you have to leave that out, or what happened? But that's Dabo. That's something he'll say. He'll pull something out. I mean, he brought us BYOG, bring your own thing out. He'll say some of the darndest stuff, and you're like, all right. Came from Dabo, but hey, if it gets the players motivated, fine by me. So
yeah, I mean, look, when he came out and he said that, I was like, wait, what? And then it actually, thanks to Kelly Gramlich on Twitter, she actually did say that is an actual community college within Alabama. And so I'm going to do the same poll she did. Do you think Dabo Swinney could at least name 20 or more community colleges within the state of Alabama, over or under 20?
Under. I go under.
Okay. Yeah, I did it too.
I go under. But I think he can name them in the teens, but I don't know if he can quite get to 20.
Yeah. All right. And then the other thing that kind of caught my eye was, and here's another one. They said under. So I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, if Dabo knows at least that one out of all the names he could have picked, I mean, I don't think he would have picked that one from Alabama. So, but I mean, those Alabama roots stood strong. So,
imagine being a quarterback at East Abuga Community College right now. Like, you deserve this.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of one of those things where you see that. You remember that? Did you see that in that Seahawks fan on Twitter a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
When the Wimbledon, when they said it wasn't a sport, and they said Drew Lock for 17 games. If I'm Drew Lock, I'm like, what the heck, man? Now, same thing with the East Dubuque Community College quarterback. Like, what the heck, Dabo? Real. Why do you got to throw me under the bus like that?
But, I mean, at least he's like, hey, shout out Dabo. I mean, he's shouting us out. I mean, he's giving us publicity. And actually, people are Google searching what this even community college is. And even if they have a football team. So, I mean, at least you're getting recognition. So, who knows? He may make an NIL deal out of that. So you never know. So, and then here's two things. SEC Media Day. Obviously, you see the big news that comes out this morning. Coach Kirby Smart gets a 10-year extension for $112.5 million. Do you think, obviously, I feel like this question is pretty self-explanatory. Do you think it's well-deserved, or do you think it was a little too early?
I mean, he definitely deserved to get paid, I think. Now, what exactly someone deserve to get paid over $100 million? I don't know. I'm not one to say that. And I'm not going to criticize him. At the same time, I don't know. I think that he definitely deserves an extension for sure. Now, how much he deserves to get paid, that's not up to me. I have no idea why he can, especially right now. I mean, it doesn't get higher than winning a national championship, so get as much. And guess what? Increase that buyout clause too, and that way, hey, even if I screw things up, so is what it is.
And then finally, he made a big statement that a lot of people are kind of disputing as well, that a lot of these teams, and I guess he specified his team, a lot of these younger guys that are coming in are making more NIL money than the players that are going out. Do you see a problem with that? Or is it, for me, I just, like, my personal opinion, I think it has to be that way because you have to get guys to come into your program. So what do you have to do? You have to make sure that you say, hey, this is X amount of money that we'll give you. Because if not, then you're going to hear Alabama go, hey, well, I'll give you $100 million in 1 cent. And they're like, oh, I'll take the 1 cent versus the $100 million. Like, so, I mean, you're going to find whoever's going to pay you the most. So do you think that is a big deal and that will kind of play a factor within college football?
Oh, absolutely. I think you're already seeing that as well. I think kids are definitely seeing it. I think that there's some things that are wrong with it, but there's a lot of things that are good with it. I mean, I think I saw a kid for Georgia for medical treatment for his dad. It's just something like like, that's awesome. Use his name, his image and likeness to help give the dad treatment he needs. That's great. Like I said just a moments ago, there are issues with it. Like you almost feel like at times, and so I think that needs to be adjusted and corrected. But I mean, you can't train, to be honest with you. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, there are as right now we're going to have to kind of live with it. But no, to answer your question, I don't see. I mean, especially incoming players, they're the frame. What do we live by in this country? What's hip? What's hot? And that is the most valuable. And it's kind of the same thing when these guys are new. These guys got a lot of hype on them, so they might as well cash in. I mean, Bryce Young, I think, or that's what Nick Saban was talking about, I believe, before he even took it for Alabama. These guys, you're going to see that because of the hype that comes. And I think that's going to be natural to see. Now, occasionally you might see like someone that's drafted eligible, because of NIL money. That might be a rare occurrence, but most of the time you're going to see these younger guys, freshmen coming in or transfers, whatever or whatnot, going to get more money off the start just because they are the.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and I realized because somebody didn't tell me, who do we believe that is going to win the Big 12? Somebody texted me and said, hey, we didn't give our champions for the Big 12. I'm going to go Baylor. I'm going to ride high on the Baylor Bears because, look, I did it last year, and it paid off. And look where we are now, ladies and gentlemen. They were conference champions last year. I said, I think last year, I'd have to go back and look at the graphic, but I think I said that they were going to finish like number 3, and Tim blasted me. I remember he was like, dude, they're not going to finish like number 3. Like they sucked last year or the year before like that. But Coach Arnada has literally proven us all wrong, and here we are. Baylor won by inches, but I think they'll do it again. Baylor wins it all. Tim, who do you have?
I think Brent Venables wins it all in his first year. I think he's just going to be a slightly bit better in good games against Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State, but I just ultimately think that Oklahoma is going to be just the year. Now, the big question for them is going to be quarterback play. If they can even get decent quarterback play and then defense, they're going to be really tough to beat this year. So I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Lights out for them, and I think they're going to go back to the top of the Big 12.
Yeah. All right. You literally had Oklahoma as your champion last year, and so did I. So, I mean, who knows? You're going to ride high Oklahoma again. I'm going to go Baylor this year, but I did have Baylor finishing 3rd. So, I feel confident. I feel pretty confident. We both did have Oklahoma State finishing lower last year, and this year, well, not really this year as well, because we both have them at 2. So, it'll be interesting to see. Before you go, Tim, is there any final thoughts to this one comment right here, Tim? Because I know how you feel about comments like this.
Let's see. Alabama 2022 national champions. Nick Saban's going to have another. He's been there more times than he hasn't. So, I mean, I guess that's out of left field, Cody. I mean,
yeah.
You know, if he does, it wouldn't be a surprise. I mean, coach of all time.
Yeah.
So in college at least, but
well, if you
wouldn't be surprised back in the national title game.
Yeah. If you disagree, come back on August the 18th. We'll break down the SEC for you and hopefully have somebody else to help us break it down. But until then, make sure to go follow us on all of our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Make sure, look, here's the thing. You can go and see all this stuff right here, but make sure to make sure to subscribe, make sure to just stay up to date with everything. That way we don't have to keep posting it. I mean, you'll know when the show is because we post it on social media. And you can follow us at Sideline Sports Show or on Twitter at Sideline SP Show. Or if you're on Facebook or even YouTube, just type in Sideline Sports Show. All right, Tim, that is it for episode number 38. It is a fantastic another episode. All-Star Weekend is done for baseball. Media days are wrapping up for football. We're getting so much closer, Tim, to college football. We're getting close to high school football. We're getting close to some softball action. We're getting close to basically the end of MLB baseball. You're going to see the trade deadline heat up a little bit. So it's going to be a really exciting next couple of weeks on this show because yeah, we have scheduled out Big Ten, Pac-12, SEC, college football playoff, and championship. But there's going to be a lot of headline news that kind of takes over as well that we'll be covering as well. So it's going to be these next couple weeks are going to be very, very crucial as we lead up to college football. And until then, Tim, have a great weekend. The rest of y'all have a great weekend, and we will see all of you right back here next Thursday as we break down the Big Ten conference and everything going on in the Big Ten. So have a great week, and we will see you all next week right here on the